Hey everybody, it's Mrs. Pearson here, and we're going to be talking about solving equations with variables on both sides of the equal sign. Yes, that is the new piece. We are now going to be solving with variables on both sides, x's, y's, z's, both sides of the equal sign. So let's get started. First thing we are going to do is talk about those three steps. The first step that we have, here we go, is to simplify. And in parentheses, I want you to write combine like terms on both sides of the equal sign. Now remember, if I'm typing, you're writing, so don't forget to be doing that as you're taking notes. You will need these steps to solve these problems. We are going to discuss simplifying and combining like terms on both sides of the equal sign when we do our examples. Right now, I just want you to focus on getting these rules down. The second step that we are going to be doing is collecting like terms on one side of the equal sign. And that is a new piece. First, we're combining like terms, then we're collecting them. You are going to figure out what that means as soon as we get to our examples. The last step, step 3, is to solve for the variable. And that is just like solving any equation. You're going to figure out what the variable is actually worth, and then you are going to tell us your answer based on your calculations. So let's move on over to our first example. Ready? Here we go. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Awesome. All right, we have 9n minus 6 equals 5n plus 18. Now, if you notice, the first step was to simplify or combine like terms on both sides of the equal sign. Well, I'm going to look on the left side. I have n's and I have no's. I cannot put together n's and no's, so guess what? I do not have any like terms on that left side. If I look at my right side, I also have n's and no's. Once again, I can't put those together, so step 1 is completely done. I can't combine anything because they are different terms. So now I'm moving on to step 2, collecting like terms on one side of the equal sign. Well, what does that mean? Well, let's go over to my drawing here, and I'm going to go ahead and put a C on this side, and in a different color, I'm going to put a V. I wonder what those letters mean. Well, the V means variables. I'm going to put my variables on the left side of the equal sign, and I'm going to put my constants on the right side of the equal sign. That's how I'm going to collect them onto one side or the other. So let's just look at the variable side. I have this 9n here, which is what I want. But wait a minute, the 5n is not on that side. It's on the constant side. Well, how am I going to move it to the variable side? Well, I have to zero it out. I have to zero it out on the constant side. It's a positive 5n, so the only way I can zero it out is to subtract it. So I'm taking my 5n's and I'm subtracting 5n's on the constant side to zero it out. And that means I have to subtract those 5n's from the 9n on the variable side. Why did I put it under the 9n? Well, because they have the same variable, which means they're like terms. So I can put them together and collect them. Woohoo! So 9n minus 5n, well, guess what? It's 4n. Yay, all my variables are on one side, but I still bring down that minus 6. And I still have an equals. And I have my constants now on the constant side. Awesome. Well, wait a minute. This should look very familiar to you because now I'm doing step 3, which is solving for the variable. I got all my variables on one side. I'm going to bring my constants to the other by doing the opposite operation. So the opposite of subtracting 6 is adding 6. Anything I do to one side, I do to the other. These zero out. I'm left with my variables only now on my variable side. And my constants now, 24 on my constant side. And now I'm just going to go ahead and figure out what n is by dividing both sides by 4. Fancy Formula 1 going on there. I get n equals, and 24 divided by 4 is 6. Bam, there's my answer. I got it. Woohoo! I solved for my variable of 6. There is only one solution that will make these two sides of the equal sign the same, and that solution is 6. You ready to try a new one? Oh yeah, let's go to the next example. All right, hold on, sorry about that. Ooh, here it is. Oh boy, this looks like a tough one. Don't worry, we've got steps. We can figure this out. I'm going to go ahead once again, and I'm going to put my V on this side because I want my variables to be on the left side. And I'm going to go ahead and put my C on this side because I want my constants on the right side. Okay, let's look at step 1. It says to simplify or combine like terms on each side of the equal sign. All right, well, if I look at my left side, I've got Y's. Oh, let me change that to a different color. I've got Y's, and I've got no's. You are going in writing if I'm going in writing. Under my Y's, I've got a positive 6Y, and I also have a negative 3Y. Do not forget to bring the sign in front of that coefficient. Under my no's, I have a positive 4. So go ahead and simplify that. 6Y's minus 3Y's is 3Y's. And I can't put that positive 4 with anything, so I just bring it down. So I now have 3Y, and I'm going to go ahead and put it up here, plus 4 on the left side. So I went ahead and simplified the left side to bring it to 3Y plus 4. Now I have to do the same thing on the right side. On the right side, I seem to also have Y's, and I also seem to have some no's. And I'm hoping yours is a little bit neater than mine. So under my Y's, I've got a positive, and remember that invisible math? Well, there's always a 1 in front of that Y. So I'm going to go ahead and add that 1. So I have a positive 1Y. Under my no's, I have a negative 5 and a positive 17. Well, let's go ahead and put them together. Well, I can't put anything together with that positive 1Y, so I still have that positive 1Y. And then negative 5 plus 17 is a positive 12. Hopefully you got that too. So now up here, I'm going to go ahead and write my 1Y plus 12. All right, step 1 is done. I have combined and simplified on each side of that equal sign. Well, now it's time to collect my like terms once again. Collecting just means all my variables, I'm going to go ahead and change that color to green, are going to end up on this side, and all my constants are going to end up on the right side over here. So let's go ahead and start with my variables. Well, I have 3Y's over here, which is a great start, but I also have a 1Y on the right side. So in order to zero out that 1Y, I do the opposite, which is subtracting 1Y because it was positive to begin with. They zero out, but I have to go ahead and do the same thing on the other side of the equal sign. Well, once again, I put it under the 3Y's because they have a variable in common. So 3Y minus 1Y is 2Y. Awesome. Bring down your plus 4 and your equal sign. And now I only have a 12 on this side, which is exactly what I wanted. This is awesome. It's a two-step equation. You all know how to do that. So let's go ahead and get these constants now on the right side by doing the opposite. And the opposite of adding 4 is subtracting 4. And I'm left with a 2Y on this side because these zero out, equals, and 12 minus 4 is, oh gee, it's sloppy, but it's an 8. I'm going to go ahead and divide both sides by 2 because the last step is to solve for my variable. These 2's cancel out, fancy form of 1. I get Y, oh my word, my handwriting is just getting worse, is equal to 8 divided by 2, and I know this does not look like a 2, but it is a 2, is 4. So the only solution that will work is 4. You're probably thinking to yourself, Wait a minute. How do you know that 4 works? How do you know that's a solution? Well, guess what you can do? You can do a check. So in place of any y you see in the equation, you are going to substitute in the value of 4 to make sure both sides are equal. I'm going to go ahead and show you that right now. I'm going to do that in a different color so it looks a little bit easier for you to understand. I have 6 instead of y. Remember, I now know what y is. So 6 times 4 plus 4 minus 3 times 4, because I now know my y value is 4, should equal, oh boy, this is very sloppy, -5 plus, oh, what's y? Oh, it's 4. So I'm substituting it in, plus 17. And I'm trying to squeeze it into this picture. Well, 6 times 4 is 24. And since I have to do multiplication first, I just bring down the plus 4. And then I have a -3 times 4, which is, -12. And that should equal -5 plus 4 is -1 plus 17. Well, 24 plus 4 is 28. And if I take 28 and I subtract 12, well, guess, oh gee, that's ugly. Well, guess what I get? I get 16. On the other side, if I take -1 plus 17, I also get, woohoo, 16. And guess what? 16 equals 16 in my life. So it checks. And there you go. That's how you solve with variables on both sides. Go grab a practice sheet, check your answers. Good luck. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.